As a result of the president's promise to get tough on illegal immigration, new figures from the United States suggest that thousands of people without criminal records are being actively sought. With an estimated 11 million illegal immigrants living in the U.S., Mr. Donald Trump had originally said he would prioritize the deportation of criminals. But a change in policy written into his executive orders made non-criminal illegal immigrants an equal priority for deportation. Most of the illegal immigrants arrested during Mr. Trump's first 100 days in office were criminals, but more than 10,000 undocumented immigrants with no criminal records were also arrested, twice as many as in the same period last year. Let's get more on this. Joining us to throw more light on this situation is the VOA's Pete Heinlein. Thank you for your time on Network Africa.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Right, let's start now with the initial plan of the Trump administration, which was to deport undocumented criminal immigrants. Why are others suddenly being targeted?
Well, I think that in effect, people with criminal records and those who are considered to be at a risk for national security are those who are being targeted. However, the rules are that if immigration officers encounter others who are not criminals or not national security risks, they are empowered. They have at their discretion to deal with those immigrants, illegal immigrants as well. As you pointed out, in the first 100 days of this, through about the end of April, about 10,000 non-criminal aliens were arrested. Not all of them were deported because, or incarcerated, because there's just not the capability, there's not the capacity to incarcerate all of these people who they arrest. Most of them were booked and let go and given court dates. They have to appear in court, and this process continues of going through the motions to deport them. A few were deported, of course, but most of them are let go on their own recognizance until they come to court, and the courts deal with their cases individually.
Pete, from the reports that you've heard, does this have anything to do with race or nationalities or even religion?
I think not. There are some people who would say it's a Muslim ban or it's targeted at one group or another. But I think the statistics will show that people from all nationalities who come into contact with immigration officers and are found to be illegal are being arrested. It is true that the so-called ban, which is for 90 days, and it's now, I think, in the third or fourth week of this ban, it'll be over in 90 days. For refugees, it's 120 days, does affect only people from 6 countries, 6 Muslim countries, Iran, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and Libya. But again, that's a temporary ban.
Is there anything that the immigrants can do legally, just like it was obtainable under the Obama administration where many became citizens?
Yes, it is possible to find a path to citizenship. Once you've been arrested, of course, that does make it more difficult because you have a mark on your record, and authorities do look at that. But people who are here illegally can begin the process. Now, very often, when at some point during that process, they have to go out of the country and wait and come back in. And that sometimes can take years, but it can be done, and it is often being done. And of course, people with children here, people with children who are born here, have a leg up on that process.
Well, thank you, Pete, for your time on Network Africa.
It's my pleasure.
Let's move on now. In Nigeria, at least 10 people have been reported killed in a suicide attack at a mosque in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, northeast Nigeria. According to the spokesperson of the State Emergency Management Agency, Ahmed Satomi, the blast happened at about 5:30 a.m. today after a female bomber detonated explosives at a mosque in the London Sikhi area. The bomber was chased down by suspicious residents when she ran into the mosque and set off the bomb. 2 other suicide bombers were killed in the Mamanti area as they tried to cross the ditch around the city perimeter, where another set off her explosives in the suburb of Simari. Borno State is a major target of Boko Haram militants. Last Monday, at least 19 people were killed and 23 others injured when bombers attacked the Molai Kolimari area of the state capital. Elsewhere now, a rogue baboon has interfered with electricity installations in Zambia's tourist capital, Livingstone, which has left about 50,000 consumers without power. The animal somehow managed to access a power station in the area and tampered with high-voltage machines that supply electricity to the southern western provinces of Zambia, according to the spokesman for the country's power utility, ZESCO. Livingstone's 28,000 residents and a further 22,000 people in the region had been completely without power for about 6 hours. And while repair works were carried out, the baboon received a massive electric shock. But by nature, baboons are highly insulated, and so the animal survived, but with severe burns. In another utility crisis, Somalia's government says it has restored internet connections across the country's south and central regions. For over 20 days, an outage blamed on a merchant ship which accidentally cut an undersea fiber optic cable cut internet supply in the south and central regions. Officials say the outage affected government and business operations and cost the country to around $10 million every day. Well, South Africa's main opposition party, Democratic Alliance, are expected to demand an explanation from Housing Minister Lindiwe Sisulu on how her department spent the 10 million rand on flowers and gifts during the 2013-2014 financial year. The controversy comes at the time when Ms. Sisulu, the daughter of an anti-apartheid struggle luminary, Walter Sisulu, is running against several other candidates in the battle to succeed President Jacob Zuma as leader of the governing African National Congress. Ms. Sisulu revealed that the expenditure in reply to a parliamentary question, and the DA would demand a full list of the people who benefited from the monies. The funds could have built about 100 low-cost homes to help alleviate the housing shortage in South Africa. Ms. Sisulu has not yet commented on the DA statement. A recent hike in Egypt's fuel and electricity prices, part of the government's 3-year plan to cut subsidies, is pushing many Egyptians who are already struggling from rising inflation to the limit. In June, Egypt hiked fuel prices by up to 50% to help meet the terms of a $12 billion International Monetary Fund loan deal. This was a sharper rise than expected by many Egyptians who are already struggling with inflation.
In a once bustling Cairo shopping street, many businesses have now shut down or are operating at reduced opening hours. Sitting outside their shops, owners complain that soaring living costs have resulted in fewer customers and less spending. The fuel price has affected businesses and customers alike as transportation costs of basic and luxury goods increased, causing a hike in prices and less spending.
Business here is very slow. There is no selling at all. Like before, there was work and movement and stuff. But now, there is nothing at all. Now, we are barely able to cover our costs.
Government officials say spending cuts will help revive an economy where subsidies have accounted for about a quarter of state expenditures. But austerity carries risk for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as inflation and a contested deal to hand 2 Red Sea islands to Saudi Arabia have eroded his public standing.
The decision that have been taken should have been carried out over many years, but it gave them out to us all at once, and this shouldn't be. We understand that this is economic reform, and it needs to be done, but it should have been taken in several stages. It can't be done all at once.
Blacksmith Ateya Hada, worries that the latest measures have pushed Egyptians to the limit.
Man, the population has added. What citizens? They are done. Our pockets are empty. That's it. There is nothing left. We are left to sleep next to our women and let them go out and make money. That is what is left.
Coming up on Network Africa, clashes between police and residents of a Nile island in Cairo turns bloody.